Welcome back. Yeah, we're continuing with the day start, basing our study on Bereshit chapter 1, verses 1 to 5. I'm not going to exhaust it because it would require a lot of lessons just to do Bereshit 1 to 5 and cover everything that needs to be covered. But I'm just going to dwell on the main themes that I feel can make someone understand and be plugged off this religious platform where you are, and get out of the box of religion, so that you can start to think independently and investigate things for yourself. Because many times religious people are very difficult to dislodge them from their beliefs, because they don't just accept what they accept because they found it to be so, but they can just accept it because that is what is acceptable in the congregation that they are, in the institution that they are. Like me also, when I joined the Seventh-day Adventist, I didn't do a study on the day start itself, but it was contrary to my nature. It was contrary to what I had always known, that the day starts at dawn, starts at morning, and even the language in my culture does not allow me to start the day in the night, right? But do you know why the Jews starts the Sabbath at night? It is primarily because they observe the moon, right? So the first sliver of the moon is seen in the west at night, right? In the western side at night. And so when they see the first sliver, then they must determine that that is the beginning of their day. So even the counting of their days must start by first observing the sliver. Now, even the counting of the days of the month, they are determined by their observation of the moon. And thus you see that their months will have 28 days, which is contrary to Scripture, because the Torah clearly tells us that the month should have 30 days. Right? We're going to do all that when we are doing the calendar. But just to give you a heads up, Scripture says the month is 30 days and the year is 360 days, right? But the Jewish year will be far less than 360. And at times they count their months and end up with 13 months. After a period of time, I'm not quite sure now, is it a year or 2 years, that they will end up having if you like, similar to a leap year, where they will have a 13th month, which is foreign in the Scriptures. The Scriptures are very consistent that the year has got 12 months, but the Jewish calendar will give you 13 months. And that is apostasy, that is Babylonian, it's pagan, right? If you do anything contrary to the instructions that Yahweh is given, then your worship is not the worship of Yahweh. And this is where the Christians that keep the Sabbath actually got their teaching on starting the Sabbath in the evening. And of course, they quote one or two verses, I think it's one, that says you shall keep the Sabbath evening to evening. But you see, when we do that, you are going to clearly see that this is not talking in the context of the weekly Sabbath. And it's not talking in the context of the time of the observance of the Day of Atonement. No, it's talking in the context of the fasting. That's why Scripture is very clear. It's from the 9th day, evening of the 9th day, to the evening of the 10th day. So that also on its own clearly shows you that if the evening, the first evening that you start, belongs to the 9th day, it therefore follows the night that comes after that evening belongs to the 9th day. I don't know how we get so deceived. I just shake my head. It boggles the mind. It just surprises someone, because the language is clear. The expression is clear. The evening that you want to start the Sabbath from, it belongs to the 9th day. Right? So let's continue looking at the word evening, because I think that's the main hurdle, that's the main challenge that Christians have when it comes to starting the Sabbath. because they want to use the evening as the time of beginning of the day. But we have already seen from the discussion that we've just had that the seasons of the day are determined by the creation that has taken place in the 24-hour cycle. And we have seen that the creation is always taking place in the light part of the seasons of the light season of the 24-hour cycle. So there is no way you can shift that. It can't be shifted. Right? It must just have to follow that sequence. That from creation you come to evening, and from evening you come to night, and from night you come to morning, and then from morning a new series of creation starts, right? Which numbers and determines and decreases the day in the morning. Right. Let's just do a recap. Things to note. Right. The darkness that was there in the first day did not start time. I want you to get that in your minds, in your heads. Understand this, that darkness does not start the day. It doesn't start the reckoning of time. It is only as the light comes that darkness is displaced and put and allocated its own space. And then the seasons of the 24-hour cycle are demarcated. So without the light, you cannot get dawn here. You can't get dawn, right? There's no dawn or morning, or if you like, call it morning, right? Without the light, there is no morning. Right? So there must be a light that is coming through into the atmosphere for morning to appear. And there must be a light receding, right? And a darkness encroaching to have the evening or the EREB. Now, I want to start with a word study. Again, I'm going to put these words on the board so that we keep them in our minds. I'll repeat that. So the word that we have there is light, right, which is all in Hebrew, which later on becomes what is called, described as day. Then you have darkness, right, which is called choshek in Hebrew, and which is allocated a season which is called night, right? So even in the allocation of the seasons, when you read the scripture, I might want to take you back to the scripture so that you may actually see that even in the language, in the allocation, the first to be allocated each season is the light. Listen to this. Listen to this. Verse 5. Right. And Elohim called the light day, and the darkness he called night. Right? And they came to be evening, and they came to be morning one day. So the very allocation, I don't know why people don't see this. The very allocation, it starts with the light. So it is the light that is allocated first, right? So if it is allocated first, that means it is coming first. And then the darkness is allocated its space after the light, and the darkness is called the night. So just from that, you can see the sequence that we are starting with the day, we are starting with the light, and then we end up with the night. Right. So the other components that we have here, night is called Laila or Lala, or day is called Yom, right? That is Yom in Hebrew, or this is called Lael, okay, Laila or Lael, something like that. Okay, right, and and we said this is a properly, it's actually the same as 3883, properly a twist, right? A twist that is away from light, away of the light, that is night, right? So it is coming away of the light. In other words, there is light here, right? And the night seems to be coming away from the night. I mean, from the light. So that's what it means, Arab, right? Dusk, right? Right. Okay, we are going to go to that word. The next word that we want to look at is morning, right? Morning. It's morning. This is boka, right? This is also called dawn, right? This is also called it's called boka. Sorry, this is boka in Hebrew, right? What am I doing? Okay, we have already written it in the Hebrew, right? So this is also called dawn. This is also called what? Dawn or morning or boka, right? Dawn, right? Boka, right? This is a season. Twilight, which is called tzalal in Hebrew, is called tzalal, or is called twilight. Right. Then you also have evening, or EREB or Arab. I prefer to call it Arab by the sounds of the words. And anyway, so at times the same word is called Arab, and at other times it is called EREB. I think it is the foreigners to the language that are causing the confusion, because you cannot call it Arab in one sense with the same letters and then call it EREB again, the same letters in another sense. I don't think that is correct. And when you sound the letters, the pictographs that make up this word, it's correct to say Arab rather than EREB. So Arab or EREB is the evening. It's also tzalal, or it's a twilight, right? Right. We are going to look at this, and we want to dwell much on the evening, because the evening is the one that is giving us a lot of problems. People want to start the day with the evening, but we need to know what is evening from the Hebrew understanding, right? We need to know when is evening, and how do we get evening, and can it start the day, right? If we understand when evening comes and how it comes, then we were going to ask ourselves a question: with these facts, can the evening start a day or not? Then we must conclude for ourselves based on what we will have found out and studied. So evening Arab is Hebrew 61:53. So I've got various explanations or various interpretations or meanings of this word. Hebrew 61:53, all the concordance, all the lexicons that I had access to would give this meaning. It's dusky, right? Which is the meaning of Arab as well, right? Something that is dusky, almost yellowish, brownish, right? This happens when the sun sets. Just when the sun sets, then it becomes that dusky color, that brownish, yellowish color. And then it continues as the evening progresses. It becomes darker and darker until that dusky color disappears and it's all black, it's all night. Right? So between the time when the sun sets, right, to the time when that dusky color, that dusky appearance disappears. That is what is called between the evenings, right? So those are the two extremes of the evenings. There's no any other time that you can get two evenings other than from the time when the sun sets and the time when the night fully encroaches and covers the dusky period or the evening period, and then it becomes night. Those are the only two extremes that we have got. So it's like this, right? This is the beginning. The sun is set here, right? The sun is set. And then you've got that orange brownish color. And then the night is also coming, right? It's encroaching, right? Then this orange brownish color actually becomes dark. Then we say the night has started, right? It is now night. It's no longer twilight. Because when it is twilight, when it is talal, there is a mixture of light and darkness. Now listen to these definitions. Hebrew 61:50. Same root words. Hebrew 61:50. It says, through the idea of covering with a texture to grow dusky at sundown, be darkened towards evening, right? So this is between the evenings. So there's the idea of covering with a texture to grow dusky at sundown. When the sun goes down, it becomes dusky and it continues to darken, right? It continues to darken and continue to get darker until the night. So that period is what is called evening. Hebrew 61:51 is EREB, right? So this gives us the meaning, because this and that are the same, right? So here we say there is a tendency of growing dusky. 61:50 is the tendency to grow dusky, right? Tendency to grow dusky. To grow dusky. Right. So it's still the same root word with same meanings. And then 61:51, Hebrew 61:51, EREB is to commingle. Right. It's explaining what is happening. There is a commingling, right? Or a mixing. Hebrew 61:53, there is a commingling or a mixing. So this gives us the action that is happening in Hebrew 61:53. It's commingling, right? Commingle, mix, right? Right. Becoming dusky, evening tide, or towards night. So what's happening? Okay, before I even explain that, let me also read these other definitions. Hebrew 61:51, it says, the web or transverse threads of cloth, also a mixture, or mongrel race, Arabia, mingled people, mixed multitude, a woof. The best theme of this word is mixture and mingling, right? Mixture and what? Mingling. So the word EREB or Arab is meaning all these things. These things are, or these aspects are explaining what evening is, right? So EREB, according to the etymological dictionary of the Hebrew language, EREB 61:50, some definitions apply to light to said especially of the sun, to enter, to go in, to go down. It became evening. It grew dark. Sunset, evening, mixed, to mix, was mixed, was mingled, mixture, woof. What is woof? Let's check the Webster dictionary for woof. Is to weave the threads that cross the warp, the weft. In other words, a mixing of the threads. So evening, what it means is to mingle, is to mix, to mingle, right? This is what evening means. Is to mix, right? Mingle, be mingled, a mixture, mix the multitude. J. Parkhurst then gives text where flies apply the mixers, the mixed ones, light and spirit mixed together, right? So ben ha abayim, arbayim, right? That is between the evening. Ben ha arbayim, between the evening, or more literally, between the mixtures. At sunset, when the cool, dark air mixes or night air mixes with it. The evening air from the western or darkened part of the heavens begin to mix with the day, which mixture continues till night. When the day is overpowered, the darkness prevails and the mixture of the daylight ceases. Are you getting that? So you can't have the mixture, right, of light and darkness unless there was light and the darkness that is encroaching. So light must be there first for you to have evening. Listen to this. Hebrew lexicon, W.H. Baker. Evening is to mix, mingle. The evening, when darkness mixes with light, to be darkened, obscured, to intermeddle with, surety, to engage for another, to mortgage. You get that in Nehemiah chapter 5, verse 3, the woof that we've dealt with, right? Another lexicon, the Hebrew and English lexicon, the Old Testament 1906, EREB, based on William Gesenius, translated by Edward Robinson. It says also mix, mixture, mixed company, interwoven, swarm, pledge, given and exchange, right? So evening has got to do with mixing. So it says, become evening, grow dark, doing it at morning and at evening, west, right? Place of sunset, be black. Black as a raven, it also means Arab, right? That's what Arab means, EREB, to be black, black as a raven. Again, there is a heavy emphasis on a mixing of the sunset to darkness period when considering time. Question is there a mixing of darkness before sunset? No. You cannot have any mixing from here to there, right? There's no mixing that is taking place because the mixing must take place between the light and the darkness. I want us to understand that. I want us to understand that. Right, Kohler and Baumgartner, EREB, to participate in, get involved with someone, to turn into evening, right? Metaphorical, to go down, descent of the sun, sunset, evening, between the two evenings, right? After reading the definitions from a variety of different sources, the central theme of the word EREB is mixes of separate substances or units. Is very distinct. So you've got two substances that are mixing here. You've got the light mixing with the darkness, right? Now, when it is at this point, the influence is more of the light. So it becomes orangish, right? But when it is here, the mixing is more of the darkness, right? After a few minutes, right, then the mixing becomes more of darkness here. So the evening is the mixture of light and darkness. I want us to understand that. The evening is a mixture of light and darkness. So there needs to be light first. There needs to be light first in order for evening to be there. So that means that you cannot start the 24-hour cycle with evening because there was light first, right? That brings about the mingling, the mixing of the light and the darkness to create dusky, to create evening, to create EREB. Are you getting it? So whoever would want to start the day with EREB or with evening, they are not taking into account this whole period, this whole season, which is the light, which is the chief season of the 24-hour cycle. We need to understand that. The same applies with the dawn twilight, right? We are coming from the dark period or the dark season of the 24-hour cycle. It is more dark, right? It is darker here. And some say the darkest hour is before dawn, right? It is very dark here. And then it starts to get light here, right? So between these two extremities or between these two periods, that's where we experience what is called as twilight. In this case, it is dawn. Sorry about that. So dawn is a mixture of receding darkness and encroaching light. And EREB evening is a mixture of receding light and encroaching what? Darkness. So light is receding in this instance when you have got the EREB, when you got the evening. Light is going away, which means it was there in the first place. And evening is encroaching, which means it was not there, right? So that means that evening is, or night is always coming after evening. It's always coming after EREB. So EREB starts before we can get night. And the light starts before we can get EREB. And therefore, you can't start a 24-hour cycle with EREB when we are supposed to start with what? With dawn. Because dawn is it that ushers in the period or the season of light. At this stage, we are being launched into the light period, into the light season of the 24-hour cycle. So this is launching the 24-hour cycle, dawn, right? Kickstarting the 24-hour cycle, it is dawn, right? And therefore, it is the one that starts the 24-hour cycle. Because this cannot happen unless the light has been launched first. And according to the cyclical pattern of the coming of the days, it is the light period. Remember, Yahweh was always creating in the light period, as we have covered in the previous lesson. So Yah is creating in the light period. So this light, the creation that is taking place here, right, is the one that determines the number of the day that ends here. Are you getting it? So the day that ends here, this creation is the one that determines everything that is going to happen in this 24-hour cycle. So you can't start the day with evening. For there to be EREB or evening, there must be a mixture of receding light and encroaching darkness, which means the light must be there first before evening. Therefore, evening cannot start the reckoning of time. Evening testifies that in the sequence of time seasons, the light must be there first before the night. Right? After EREB, then the night or darkness, Lala or Layala, comes. The night is terminated by Boga, Vuka, dawn here. That's where the night is terminated. It stops here because dawn or Vuka has come. Not one day can begin with evening. That is the conclusion that we get there. Not one day can begin with evening, EREB or Arab, because the evening contains light received from the day season. It is impossible for evening to begin any new day because light must be present first. Light begins everything. If you notice that Yahweh does not even mention the sun in the first 3 days of creation, there's no rising of the sun because the sun was not yet called forth, was not yet created until it was commanded to. Then the sun also took part in elaborating the divisions of the seasons, right? Now, what we need to understand is that evening can never start the day. But, yeah, the light is the one that has got authority of starting a day. That's why day does not start with the rising of the sun, but day starts long before the sun starts. When the light filters into the eastern atmosphere, and then we see that star, we say, Kwayeza kusile. People go out to the fields with their ox and their plows. And they are going to plow maybe for an hour and some minutes before the sun starts to rise from the east. And so we are not guided. The beginning of the day is not guided by the sun, but it is guided by the coming of dawn, which is the filtering in of the light of Yahweh. So day starts at dawn. It does not start at sunrise. Day does not start at sunrise. Neither does it end at sunset. But it ends at EREB, evening, when there is complete darkness that has come onto the earth. The twilight is gone, right? And so therefore we say that the day has ended. Alala, we are. I want you to ponder upon this. Once you can understand from the scriptures, from the sequence of creation, if you can understand that, if you can understand that creation itself is the one that determines the numbering of the days, if you can understand that evening cannot start unless there was light first, if you can understand that, I'm telling you, you'll never start the days at night. Because the very word day or yom means hot. Right? It is the determinant of the season, the 24-hour cycle season. The 24-hour cycle season is named after the hot part of the 24-hour cycle, which is Yom. And it is it that is the chief season. The light season is the chief season of the 24-hour cycle. If you can understand that from the scriptures, you will not be deceived. You will not start your days in the night. You are going to see when we do the Sabbath how that things are organized, right? When you follow Yahweh's word and instructions, you do not suffer. The Sabbath will not become a burden for you, but you'll enjoy it. Alala, we are.